Welcome guys back to another video in the channel. We're doing another video, and today we are going to be talking how Arsenal could potentially line up if Isco were to sign, a potential signing and a potential lineup adapted to that signing. And the first one, we might do a few more of these depending on who we are linked to. But the first one I want to look at is Isco, the experienced Spaniard who plays for Real Madrid, who hasn't been given many opportunities this season, and we are going to be looking at how we could potentially line up with him. Now we are going to use three different techniques with the back five, with the back four, and a bit of a variation on the four. So we're going to have a quick look at that. So let's get straight into it. So the first way we could potentially line up with Isco is with the back four with a 4-3-3. Now in this formation, we're going to go with Leno, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Luis Gabriel-Tini. The back four, or the defense and the forward line, we are going to keep the same, just as a box standard. You could put any other players in there. For example, you could put Bellerin or Cedric at right back. You get the gist. It's just to see a potential lineup with good players that we have in our team. And with the front four, we are going to go with Martinelli, Aubameyang and Saka on the right hand side, because Saka has been playing on the right a lot. But in this formation, Isco, I'm going to deploy as a number 10, just as your box standard number 10. And I think he does play well in a number 10, and on transfer market he is listed as a cam, and I think the role of a cam is going very vague now in football. But I think Arsenal are just used to playing with that standard number 10, and I think we are struggling to move away with it. And the emergence of Emile Smith-Rowe has meant that someone like Isco's present, someone like him, like an attacking midfielder, has it's been missing, and Emile Smith-Rowe has brought that to the team. And I think Isco would be a more experienced presence instead of Emile Smith-Rowe, because you can't put so much pressure on a 20-year-old in that position. There's a lot of stress and trying to perform week on week, creating a lot of chances. And I think someone like Isco in that position could help us a lot to create the chances. Even someone like Buendia would help. But this is one way I believe Arsenal could line up with Isco, is in a number 10, and behind him, Thomas Partey and Mohamed El-Neni would be very good as well. They just provide a lot of support, and you could have Partey as a box-to-box while El-Neni sits. Again, you could have anyone else there. You could have, Xhaka, Ceballos, anyone else. But the main gist is Isco would play like as a number 10. So that's the first way we could line up with Isco. So the second way we could line up with Isco is in this back five. Now, we do tend to play back five sometimes. When we are playing up against some of the bigger teams, we tend to just sit back and then play on the counter. Or sometimes when we are in transition and we're defending, we sometimes move to a back five, in which Tini comes as a second centre back. I wouldn't go with him. I think this is more of a formation or way of playing if we were to be going with the standard five against some of the big teams. We are going to be going Rob Holding, Luis Gabriel-Tini, Ainsley Maitland-Niles as the 5. Again, it could be different with other players, but as the 2 in midfield, this is going to be quite a vastly experienced midfield we're going to go with, and it's Partey and Isco. So Isco is playing slightly ahead of Partey, or as a box-to-box if you like, and Partey is going to be the one who's going to be the rock. Isco, I think, would work well in this situation as well, because he is a centre mid, and I think he has some good defensive qualities as well. And going forward in a counter attack, I think he is one of those players who would pick the right passes over the top, so to someone like Aubameyang, and with the energy we would have with someone like Gabriel Martinelli or Saka or Pepe or even Nelson or anyone else on the wings. I think it would work very well with Isco, and I think it's another way we could line up if we wanted to against some of the bigger sides. I think this is something that could definitely work, and I think in a team you need players that can adapt into different positions. And for Isco, the way he plays, on transfer market it's listed he can play as a left wing. That's the next thing we'll look at, but for now, we're looking at him in a centre mid / cam role, and I think the way he can be adapted into back fours, back fives, back threes, if you like, if you want to call this one, then I think it's something that could work really well for someone like Isco. And why not? Isco is a very good player. He has a lot of experience over the years. He's played in many different systems for Real Madrid and a few different managers. So I think it could work very well when someone like Partey next to him could sit back, could hold the lines, and I think Partey could do that really well. And when you do have experienced defenders, decent defenders like Holding, Luis and Gabriel, I think that would work really well as well. And when you have the energy up front, and I think that is working well in Isco's favour. So this is how I'm going to line up. A second way, possibly lining up with Isco, is with a back five, with Isco as with the 2 in midfield, and then you could go with the 3 up front as we are right now. The last way we could potentially line up with Isco is in a 4-3-3, in which Isco is playing as a left winger. Now on Transfer Market, where I have got this information from, so big shout out to them, it suggests that he can play as a left winger as well. And I think, referring back to that previous point I made with we needing box standard, you know, cam, and with Emil Smith-Rowe doing so well, why not put them in the same team? Now this does mean Gabriel Martinelli does have to drop off, but remember, he can play as a striker as well instead of Aubameyang, and as I said, a lot of variations can be made to this, with Lacazette playing, Pepe playing, anyone else. And I think Isco could be deployed as a left winger because he can cut back inside and he can make those incisions through to the like of Saka, Aubameyang. So I think that would work very well in our favour, because Arteta seems to like playing with the inverted winger. So that's one reason, one way I think Isco could fit into our setup. Now there were some reports saying that we might not go after Isco because we want to keep Emil Smith-Rowe. Now there is a way we can fit Smith-Rowe into this, and we can play him as a cam. So going forward, we have a lot of firepower and we can create a lot more chances than we are now if we want to blow away teams. I think this is a good setup to go with, and I think when we do have that 4 up front with Saka, Aubameyang, Isco, Smith-Rowe, or anyone else, as I just mentioned earlier, you know, you do have Partey, who's going to make those late runs as a box-to-box, and then you will have someone like Elneny who will sit back, who will give the ball off to the likes of Smith-Rowe and Partey and let them do the more important jobs for them. And obviously the back four, anything, you know, a back four is just standard. You know, you could swap any players out for whoever won, but I think Isco would make a good contribution as an inverted winger, and I think it would work well as well because Kieran Tierney, he's doing so well from the left hand side, putting the crosses in. So if Isco is playing inverted, that will allow Kieran Tierney to do his job much better and make those runs from the left hand side and put them into the box. Maybe you want someone like Martinelli over them instead, but again, Aubameyang I've just put there as an example. You could have Lacazette as well to finish them chances, or if we sign someone like Diego Costa as a physical presence up front, I think this could work very well, and that's something I think Arteta would need to look at and consider if Smith-Rowe keeps performing how he is performing, making those really good chances, doing the simple things really well. And I think that's what we need in this side, and someone like very experienced like Isco on that left hand side I think would really help our cause as well. So yeah, that is how the 3 ways we could potentially line up with Isco are. So to conclude, Isco is a player that I think could fit into a lot of different systems that Arteta likes to deploy, and I think other than these 3, if Arteta does want to go with the 4-4-2, Isco could slot in as a midfielder or even be deployed as a left, because I think with Kieran Tierney being so influential for us on the left hand side, we do need an inverted winger that will allow Tierney to do what he does best and make those crosses into the box. Isco is an experienced player. He hasn't been used that much by Zinedine Zidane this season. He's a player that came into Real Madrid in 13-14 season for £30 million from Malaga. He's a player that, again, he used to be so good years ago. Would he be up for it in the Premier League? That's the big question marks, you know, whether he wants it, whether he has the desire and the passion to do it for another club, especially playing in the Europa League, because so many years now, ever since 13-14, you know, he's used to playing in the Champions League for Real Madrid. Will he want to do it in the Europa League? It will just have to be a question that remains to be asked, and he's a very experienced player, and I think he would very much help our team on a 6-month loan. I'm not sure. I think for that same passion reason, that's why I'm unsure about whether we should keep him, you know, on a permanent basis. But again, we could have an option to buy after 6 months. There could be something like that if he plays really well for us. But yeah, that concludes this video on how we could potentially line up with Isco if we were to sign him. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, turn the post notification bell on. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.